And there is absolutely no psychological high quite like Payday, is there? Your banking app pings, that direct deposit hits, and for about 48 hours, you literally feel like royalty. But then, almost like clockwork, the weekend passes. You're sitting there scrolling through that exact same banking app on a random Tuesday night, and that Payday high just completely evaporates as you watch your balance drain away. Look, if you have ever felt that way, I want to warmly reassure you right now, you are not bad with money. You really aren't. You're not failing, you just lack an automated system. Because without a preset routine, our human brains just easily fall prey to financial impulse and cognitive overload. It is such a painful experience to stare at a drained bank account and ask yourself, where on earth did it all go? But today, we're going to fix that. In this explainer, I'm going to show you exactly how to turn that financial fog into total clarity. We're walking through a simple, highly effective Payday routine that takes less than 20 minutes a month. Seriously. It automates your savings, it eliminates financial stress, and best of all, you absolutely do not need to be a math genius or some Wall Street financial wizard to pull this off.
Okay, let's dive into this. To prevent any cognitive overload, we're going to break our blueprint approach down into 4 really manageable phases. 1. Locating your marker. 2. The engine room. 3. The psychology of spending. And 4. The automation dashboard.
So, phase 1 is locating your marker, reality check, and defense. Basically, before we can automate a single thing, we've got to firmly ground ourselves in our actual financial reality.
And that brings us right to step 1, which is tracking net realities, not gross illusions. The absolute biggest budget mistake people make happens before they even touch a spreadsheet. They budget based on their gross contract salary. Guys, this is a massive illusion. If your salary is $50,000 a year, you aren't actually taking home $50,000. Taxes, Social Security, health insurance, retirement deductions, they take a huge chunk before it ever even hits your account. Depending on where you live, your actual net take-home pay might be closer to $38,000 or $42,000.
So the fix here is actually really simple. Build a monthly tracker based strictly on what lands in your account. You just list your net income and then bucket your expenses into 4 clear categories: fixed bills, debt, subscriptions, and variable spending. But here is the secret weapon. Ready? Implement pessimistic budgeting. Always round your expected income down, so if you expect $4,200, just write down $4,000. And round your expenses up. If you expect $250 for groceries, budget $300. By doing this, you will always finish the month with a really pleasant surplus rather than a stressful shortfall.
Which brings us to step 2, build the emergency cash cushion. It's honestly a startling reality that nearly 40% of adults cannot cover a sudden $400 emergency expense using cash alone. That's huge. One unexpected car repair or medical bill forces people onto credit cards with 20% or higher interest rates, and that just kicks off a rapid downward debt spiral. So before you even worry about complex investments, you must establish an emergency buffer.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the behavioral psychology behind it all. Behavioral economists have proven that we humans suffer from loss aversion. Basically, we feel the pain of losing money twice as intensely as the joy of gaining it. When you wait until the end of the month to manually move money to savings, your brain perceives it as losing your hard-earned spending power. But when you set up an automated transfer of $25, $50, or $100 into a separate, high-yield savings account the exact morning your paycheck arrives, you never anchor to that higher total. You entirely bypass the pain of manual transfers and build an unbroken habit of paying your future self first. It's a real game changer.
All right, phase 2 is the engine room, attack debt and build wealth. Now that our financial defense is locked in, we're shifting into the heavy lifting of offensive wealth building.
Step 3 is where we execute a debt avalanche. High-interest debt, like credit cards, is the exact mathematical opposite of investing. It literally compounds your losses, and this brilliantly illustrates how the debt avalanche systematically wipes out that mathematically destructive debt through a simple 1, 2, 3 mechanism. First, rank every single debt from highest interest rate to lowest. Second, maintain the minimum required payments across all of them. Third, throw every extra available dollar at that highest interest rate debt first. Once that top debt is eliminated, you just roll those freed up funds directly into the next one. This math minimizes the total interest you pay over time and massively speeds up your path to zero debt.
Once that high-interest debt is finally under control, we hit step 4, automate wealth expansion. You want to make wealth building an automatic default. First off, if your employer offers a 401k match, max it out immediately. That is literally an instant 100% return on your money.
Next, utilize tax-advantaged accounts like Roth IRAs or your local equivalents to let your capital grow tax-free. Finally, channel consistent contributions into low-cost index funds tracking broad markets, like the S&P 500. Set these investments to automatically pull the day after payday. Wealth just accumulates effortlessly when you don't even give yourself the option to skip a month.
Real quick, if you're finding this system helpful and you love exploring the psychology behind habits and personal optimization, take a quick second to hit that like button and subscribe to Spontaneous Curiosity. It really helps more curious minds find these frameworks so we can all keep optimizing our habits together.
Let's move to and see how this builds perfectly into Phase 3, the psychology of spending, rewards without the guilt. This is where we learn how to predictably manage the fun side of money.
Step 5 is all about establishing digital sinking funds to handle those predictable annual expenses. Because let's be honest, most unexpected expenses aren't surprises at all. You know, holidays happen in December and that your car insurance renews annually. Behavioral economist Richard Thaler discovered this concept called mental accounting. It's basically our tendency to value money differently based on its label. By setting up digital sub-accounts and literally relabeling them as holidays or car maintenance, you trick your brain into seeing those funds as strictly off-limits for daily spending. It dramatically improves your discipline.
And hey, you do not need to be a math wizard to do this. You just take the expected annual cost of those events, divide it by 12, and set up an auto transfer for that monthly sinking contribution every single payday. When December rolls around or when the car needs its service, the cash is already waiting for you. No emergencies and 0 credit cards needed.
Which brings us to Step 6, introducing guilt-free hedonic consumption. Look, perpetual self-denial is exactly why most aggressive budgets fail. When you restrict yourself completely, psychological friction just builds and builds until you inevitably break the habit and overspend.
So the crucial point is this: spend whatever remains with absolute permission. Go to that nice restaurant, grab those new shoes, book that weekend trip. Because you automated your savings, you attacked your debt, and you filled your sinking funds right on payday morning, you have completely eliminated financial guilt. The automated system has secured your future, so the remaining balance in your checking account is absolutely yours to enjoy today without a single drop of anxiety.
All right, let's bring this entire explainer together into our final phase, the automation dashboard. Here is your quick, actionable 6-step summary.
Building real wealth isn't about micromanaging every single dollar or living in total deprivation. It's just about spending 20 minutes a month to run this automated setup. 1. Track your actual net income. 2. Fund your emergency cushion immediately. 3. Execute the debt avalanche to kill high interest. 4. Automate your wealth investments. 5. Fill your digital sinking funds for predictable costs. And 6. Spend whatever is left over entirely guilt-free.
Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 6 steps will make the biggest difference in your payday routine this month? Let me know in the comments below. I always love reading through your insights. If this explainer gave you an actionable game plan, please share it with someone who might need a payday upgrade. Stay curious, keep optimizing those systems, and I'll see you in the next explainer.